Running up a snowy mountain, firing a machine gun at a woolly mammoth from the back of a Tyrannosaurus is a fantastic example of the reason many video games exist, living out ridiculous childhood fantasies. ARK Survival Evolved has plenty of that to go around across its sprawling maps, which it calls ARKs, that can be explored solo or crowded with up to 100 players. Some lingering technical issues, bad dino AI, and an extreme amount of grinding to reach endgame are the main factors keeping it from being as sharp in the tooth as it could be. Like many of the survival crafting games it partially helped popularize, ARK dumps you on the beaches of a massive, foreboding island with just enough clothing to stay modest and your own 2 fists. From there, the challenge is to stay fed and hydrated while avoiding a huge variety of terrifyingly detailed dinosaurs and other beasts long enough to progress up the tech tree. Early in the life of a character, you might be taking out Dilophosaurs with throwing spears and hoping a Triceratops doesn't come and knock your thatch hut over in the middle of the night. From there, there's a really nice flow of technological progression that makes advancement feel like more than just an increase in stats. 30 hours later, you may preside from a sturdy stone castle atop which you snipe pterosaurs out of the air with a rifle. The excitement is dulled as the amount of menial grinding required to reach the higher tiers of technology goes up exponentially, to the point where it could take an entire day of playtime just to stock up on ammunition for certain weapons. This can cause things to really start to drag when you're just getting access to some of the most interesting tech, especially if you don't have a large tribe of other players to help you divide the labor. On public PvP servers, other players are both your greatest opportunity and greatest danger. As I learned the hard way more than once, making sure your shelters are hidden from potential looters is far more important than making sure they're strong enough to withstand dinosaur attacks. And I often return from less than 12 hours offline to find my barricades wrecked and hours worth of gathered resources hauled off. Things get much better if you can work your way into a strong tribe of players that can protect your stuff around the clock. There's also an extensive and detailed single-player geared campaign to follow. It will take you to a variety of monster-filled caves to acquire artifacts and summon 3 challenging bosses. There's a giant spider queen and a bona fide fire-breathing dragon. These encounters show quite a bit of attention to detail, though they rely a bit too heavily on summoned minions to increase the difficulty. Defeating all 3 bosses unlocks an endgame dungeon that reveals a surprising amount of backstory behind the ARKs and their purpose, which came as a pleasant surprise in a game that's ostensibly just about riding dinosaurs around and smelting ore at first glance. It's this narrative flourish more than anything that really distinguishes ARK from its genre brethren. Though ARK has emerged from a long early access period with most of its nastiest bugs fixed, there are still weird graphical glitches all over the place, like shadows popping in and out randomly and intermittent frame rate drops. Worst of all is the fact that the AI on larger dinosaurs is pretty terrible. The best strategy for killing anything beefier than a raptor remains getting it stuck on the terrain and plinking it in the head from total safety. Even my own tamed dinosaurs often get stuck in trees when moving through a forest if I don't babysit them. And in at least one case, one became so badly stuck in a cave that I had to kill it to recover the items it was holding and move on. When I'm having a good time in ARK, I'm having a really good time. The problem is that those moments are usually 1 part to every 9 parts menial grinding and crafting, especially at the later tech tiers. Plus, some really dumb dinosaurs can take a lot of the challenge and sense of danger out of the many primal locations. Even with all of those quirks, however, I'm still hungry to play more after the 60 or so hours I've spent so far. There aren't a lot of survival games that have legitimately held my attention for that long. For more, check out our early access review of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.